Our first story of the day was posted by user Crazy Squirrel Girl, titled, I get yelled at for not using handicapped parking? So this happened yesterday. I'm still flummoxed and am on mobile, blah blah. To set up my vehicle, my husband is disabled and we have a scooter that is on a lift attached to the back. Drive through any VA and you'll see these lifts. While running errands, I stopped at the grocery store. I waited for a car to back out. Third in from the door, next to handicap parking. Score! I put my turn signal on and I wait. Wave to the dude and pull in. I sit there dancing in the seat because "You spin me right around, baby, right around" is on the radio. Suddenly, a loud knocking on my window. After I scream a little, I lower the window 2 inches. There she is, the dread Karen. Stuck in the 90s with a long, stringy hair that is black at the roots, 3 inches down, and blonde the other 10 inches. So I say to her, "Can I help you?" And she replies, "Why did you park here? You're obviously handicapped. Park in the next spot. I need this one. I have kids." No. My husband is the disabled one, and he..." She then cuts me off and goes, "Just move your car. It's gonna snow, and I don't want me daughter in the snow. It is illegal for me to park there because my husband is not with me. I don't care. You have the thingy," and points towards the back of my van. "Just park there." "Oh, okay." And I glance in my rearview mirror. You shouldn't leave your kid in a car alone with the driver door open. That's how kidnapping happens. Goodbye. And I roll up my window. Entitled mother makes a screeching noise and hits the window again. Basically, I waited until she got back in her car and drove off, heading into the store, and tried to shop. She would appear like a pop-up book from hell, keep making snide comments, and disappear again. Alright, so here's the part of the video where I address what's going on and why it's different right now. Basically, I have just moved to Ireland with my auntie, and soon I'll be moving up to Belfast. I don't have my editing software on me, so I'm literally using the default Microsoft editing, and I don't know how to do anything with this, so that's why there's a weird picture of a cat on the screen, and it's why a few of the videos will be like this with no music. Anyway, I hope you guys hold in there, tell me what you think about this weird format down below, and I will just continue making these until I get my computer back. Thank you. Our next story was posted by user Wifer2016, titled, I had to report our neighbours to Environment Canada for the toxic wasteland they called a pool. Hello Reddit, I hope your new year is going well. This story is a fair few years old, but the memory, and the stench, are burned into my cranium forever. We have had our family home since my dad built it in '75. We were part of a co-op along with our neighbours, and everyone was friendly and helpful to each other for years while the kids grew up. After about 20 years, our immediate neighbours decided to retire and move to the city. So they sold their house to what we quickly came to call the neighbours from hell. These people were loud, entitled, obnoxious balls of butt crust. The family consisting of Mum, Dad, 2 snot-nosed crotch goblins, and Grandpa became the bane of the neighbourhood. Day 1, Grandpa knocks on our front door and announces, he's going to tear down our fence so their kids could play on my kid and sister's playset. I stared at him like a doofus for a moment, then picked up my chin and told him firmly that wasn't an option, and his goblins were most definitely not welcome in our yard wherever they wanted, and whenever they wanted. Grandpa huffed, glared, and mumbled that we would just see about that. Fast forward a few weeks, and we have had to kick the little monsters out of our yard 3 times. Grandpa decided that he wasn't happy about that and started smashing our fence with a hockey stick, trying to break it apart like some sort of senile ninja high on prune juice. I went out and forcefully told him the cops were only a phone call away, and he scuttled back into the house, leaving a cloud of Bengay and Aspercreme behind him. Now, I need to step back in time a bit here and explain that our previous neighbours had installed a gorgeous pool in their backyard. The dad took amazing care of it and it was pristine, practically sparkling in the sun every day they lived there. When they moved, they left behind $1,500 in pool supplies so the new folks could care for it as well. Fast forward again about a month into the new family's residency, the pool is starting to turn green. The kids are swimming in it. We ignore it, thinking we would give them a chance to get it done. 6 weeks in, the pool is dark green and starting to smell. The kids are still swimming in it. I meet the dad outside one day and ask if he's going to clean it. And he tells me to go have some fun with myself. 8 weeks in, the stench is becoming overpowering. The water is growing fur and the kids are still swimming in it. I call the city and tell them what's going on. They come out and look at things, tell him to clean the pool, and he tells them to go have fun with themselves too. 9 weeks in, the water is almost black, is growing more fur, and the kids are still swimming in it. The stench is starting to invade our house. I call the city again with similar results. 10 weeks in, the water is black. The entire neighborhood smells like a stagnant swamp, and the kids are still swimming in it. I call the health department. They come out, climb out of their car, gag, and drive away. I get a call telling me it's so bad, Environment Canada needs to get involved. The kids are still swimming in it! So I call Environment Canada. At first they seem to have doubts. Then they send someone round. He pulls up in his car, climbs out, almost pukes, and drove away. So fast he left skid marks. The next day, I am alerted to strange sounds from next door. I went out to our deck, and there were people in head-to-toe hazmat suits testing the water in the pool with a huge truck out front. Hazmat returned a couple days later, still wearing their suits, dismantled the pool. Their yard was left with a huge muddy circle as a mark of shame, and the stench took a week to clear, but the toxic waste was finally gone. The neighbors pouted and huffed and complained, but we didn't care. And we still never let their goblins use my sister's play park. Our next story was posted by user KilkTaxCZE, titled, "Oh, yes, you have a kid, so that gives you a right to yeet the table." I don't think so. So this happened to me a few days ago, and given the absurdity of that situation, I think it is pretty suitable as a story to write in this subreddit. The cast of this show is me, duh, entitled Mother, a really bad example of a mother, W is the waiter, and SG is security guard. Okay, now on to the story. So on Christmas, I have received a discount coupon on any book in a certain bookshop. The only nearby shop of this, let's say, company was in the mall in my city. But the mall was overrun by people the moment it opened after Christmas. I travelled to the mall on the 27th of December, obviously not knowing how many people would be there. And I guess you can imagine how that ended. Bloody hell. It was almost impossible to even move in that crowd. So I left and took a bus back home. So, fast forward a few days, and I went back into the mall. And there were still many people, but I didn't have to wait a long time in the line into the shop. So I bought a book that caught my eye in the store and left. On my way to the bus station, I got a call from my friend, who asked me if I wanted to go to the mall. I told him that I'm nearby and that I'd wait for him near the fountain in the first floor of the mall. He agreed and said he'd be there in less than an hour. Said he had one thing he needed to take care of first. So I waited at the fountain, and like 15 minutes later, I decided to go to a pizza restaurant in the second floor, because I was a bit hungry. There, I spotted a free table with 2 seats, so I took one and ordered a few pizzas of salami pizza and 1/4 piece of corn pizza for my friend. Do people really eat corn pizza? That doesn't sound nice. Tell me in the comments. Because I know he loves corn pizza. So while I was eating, I was also on mobile looking at some memes on Reddit. And this is where the entitled mother, Of course, a Karen type, most likely in her 30s, and her kid come in. They were looking for a table with free seats, but there weren't any. And so obviously, I was the one who they'd decide to yeet from the table. So she approached me and asked me, "Young man, can we have this table?" "I'm sorry, but I'm currently having a meal."
Aw, come on, you're just on the phone. Besides, my son is hungry.
"Excuse me, but I was the first here, and just because I'm on a phone while eating doesn't mean you have the right to demand my seat." And this is when I cross the line. She goes to me,
Give us this spot now.
"Do I have to repeat what I just said?"
I said give us this spot right now, or I'll have staff kick you out of here.
"Are you threatening me?"
You freaking moron. I have a son who's hungry, so get out of here, you stupid prick.
Meanwhile, her kid, who was about 5 years old, was just standing there, not even bothering to say a word. Obviously, the whole restaurant noticed this conflict, including a waiter who heard the whole conversation and decided to step in. So he goes to her, "Ma'am, please stop threatening this young man, or I'm calling security." She turns at him and yelled even more,
Who the hell do you think you're talking to, you asshole?
"Fine, you asked for it." He immediately went to the back of the restaurant, and wouldn't you know it, a security guard appeared like a minute later. He asked the waiter what this was about, and he told him about a lady and what happened. So he walked towards her and told her, "Madam, you will need to come with me."
I'm not going anywhere until this little son of a gun lets us have this table.
"I wasn't asking whether you want to or not." So they go away with her screaming, God knows what at me. I had a big smile on my face at that moment. After they've been gone, the waiter approached me and said, "Young sir, I'm deeply sorry for the trouble." "Oh, it's all right, sir. You don't have to apologize for anything." He then nodded and left, and so I ate the rest of my pizza. My friend then calls me, asking where I am, with me replying that I've had some troubles, and that I'll be there in a few minutes. So I came to the fountain and walked towards him. After greeting each other, I offered him the corn pizza I'd ordered back in the restaurant. He thanked me and took it. So we sat down and I decided to tell him what happened. And that's pretty much it. And our next story was posted by user nickname Sucksata, whatever that means. Titled, Entitled Brat and EMOB wants to try on my wife's wedding dress. This is reposted because they didn't have the first time trying to submit it. So this story happened shortly before our wedding 5 years ago, but I didn't know about it until my mother-in-law brought it up during dinner the other night. When I asked my wife why she didn't tell me, she said it was because we were under a lot of stress at the time, and she didn't want to freak me out even more if she had told me. Not to mention there was nothing I could do. I'm posting it here with her permission. She says I am a better writer than her. I disagree, but we'll see about that. The cast are Cosette, the love of my life, my wife, and the target of Entitled Brat's entitlement. MIL, mother-in-law, Cosette's mother, my mother-in-law, a strict, no-nonsense German lady who doesn't take crap from others. EB is the entitled bride, and EMOB, entitled mother of the bride, as well as the manager, who's the manager of the store and doubles as a sales associate and alterations guy. And me, your friendly neighborhood narrator. I wasn't there when this happened because of the whole groom can't see the bride in her dress before the wedding. This is based on what my wife and my mother-in-law remember. Now, on to the story. A month or so before the wedding, Cosette and her mum were at the bridal shop, squeezing in the final alterations on her dress. The dress Cosette had picked out was a ball gown with sprigs of flowery lace on the shoulder and hip, and it came with 3 colors, white, cream, and pale pink. For the fabric, and 4 colors, white, cream, pink, and black, for the lace. The only sample they had for that style came in white with white lace, but my wife chose to go with the cream and pale pink. While Cosette, mother-in-law, and the manager were in one booth working, there was another bride and her mother trying on dresses with another associate in the booth next to theirs. Cosette wasn't really paying attention to what was going on in the other booth, But mother-in-law remembered how the entitled bride was going through dress after dress and kept criticizing everything she tried on. Mother-in-law went so far as to call her a brat, saying how they were ugly and etc. This was when entitled mother of bride came up to their booth and clamped a hand on Cosette's shoulder, nearly sending her jumping a mile high and nearly tearing a hole in the skirt that she was being pinned up. She says, "Hey, I love your dress." Thanks. I see your daughter is trying on the one just like mine, and she looks beautiful. And at this point, she knows nothing good can happen at the moment she sees entitled mother of bride's sickly sweet smile, and entitled brat glaring from over her shoulder. The mother of the bride says,
"I know, but the thing is that my bride really doesn't like the color. It just doesn't flatter her. But she loves this one. Maybe you can let us try it on after you're done with it?"
Cosette and mother-in-law exchanged worried glances, and mother-in-law says, "Oh, I'm sorry, but my daughter already purchased the dress. It's not a sample."
"Nonsense. Come on. Just let us try it on really quick. It's not like it's a big deal."
No, seriously, it is a big deal. It's my dress. I bought it months ago, and it's already been tailored to fit me. I don't think it's going to fit your daughter. Note, according to witnesses, entitled bride was tall and thin, while she is shorter with an athletic build. There really was no way entitled bride was going to fit. And the manager, through a mouthful of pins, says, "I'm sorry, but we can't let you try this dress on. It's already been bought by the bride. If you would like, we can order in the same style with the colors you want."
"Mum, I want to try on that dress now."
Entitled mother of bride reached out and tries to grab at the skirt, like she thinks ripping it off means she'll get to have it. But mother-in-law, with her lightning-fast reflexes, slaps her hand away with a crack. "If you try that again, I'll hit harder." Cosette turns to the manager, fuming. "If you let that woman to try on my dress, we will have to take it and finish the alterations somewhere else." In the end, the manager ended up telling entitled bride and entitled mother of bride that if they didn't stop harassing my wife and mother-in-law, they were going to be kicked out of the store. Same goes for mother-in-law if she hits someone else again. This didn't happen, and entitled bride and the mother of the bride left shortly afterwards. When my wife came back to the store a week or so later to pick up the dress, the manager mentioned that they hadn't been seen since. And honestly, there's no other way to end this story other than the part where they thankfully didn't try and steal the dress, or else they would have to face my mother-in-law's wrath. Our next story was posted by user Funhouse, titled, "Mother wants to use my art for free because she's my mother." Context: my mother is a narcissist, a boomer in every meaning of the word. I went to art school for a long time and have been trying to sell my work for a while. During my art school days, I went through a very successful phase of drawing watercolor animals that myself, my friend, and my teacher liked. They were a big hit, and I was very proud of each one that I made. I made the mistake of showing a few to my mother, after she nearly forced her way into my sketchbooks that I kept very private at the time. Her first reaction to a few pieces was,
"That would look so cute on baby clothes."
At the time, I just thought, oh, haha, I guess so. I had no intention of selling them on shirts. At best, I thought they would make good stickers since they are the right size for them. Fast forward to last year, happy 2020, and suddenly my mother is still dead set on making my design into baby shirts. This is something she was very ambitious about, but I wanted no part in. She forced me to scan a select few of my work. The consequences at the time were very mean, but I can't be asked to remember what they were, and then use them to her heart's content. A few days later, I had a therapy session, and I talked about this to my therapist. She and I had come up with a plan that basically said, if you want any more of my designs, pay me first. My mother had told me that if she sold the shirts, that I would get $0 of profit because I didn't put work into her process, and that it was ridiculous for me to ask for money for a doodle. As per my therapist's suggestion, I started seriously looking into commission contracts. I had a sit down with my mum about what my therapist and I had talked about, and she blew me off completely. I told her, either you sign a commission contract if you want any more of my work, and or if you want me to make new designs, or else you go pay for someone else to make your designs. Her response was very typical narcissist boomer behavior.
Well, you're my child, and I let you go to art school, so you owe me for that.
Very important note. My school is a charter, meaning you didn't have to pay to go there, but my parents insisted that they pay thousands for my tuition, even though there was none, and I knew there was no tuition. All you had to do was get past the 10% acceptance rate, pay for transportation and a few classes, and you were good. Anyway, time goes on, and my mother tries to sell her baby shirts, with absolutely no luck. No one wants them. She tells her co-workers about the shirts, but no one has use for them since she works in a building that is literally only people who are over the hill, and who have grandchildren that are too big for her very limited designs. She resorts to giving them for free at any and every baby shower that she can get her grubby hands on, and each reaction is not great. I would honestly be surprised if the unfortunate recipients still have those shirts. Then, the time comes around for her to ask for more. She misplaced the folder full of my forced scans. Or I may have taken it away, who knows. And she comes crawling to me wanting more.
I don't know what happened to my folder, so I want your sketchbook so I can scan more. Also make more art for me, she told me.
So I say to her, will you pay for my work?
I already told you no. Now give me more and make more.
Will you give me any of the profit you make off the shirts?
No, I've given up on selling them. Now they're only going to be gifts.
I then held firm on our previous discussion of commission contracts. Thanks, therapist. And told her that I'm going to refuse to give her a single piece without payment. I tell her that my pieces take a long time to make, and I'm already in school, so you're asking me to work this into my already busy schedule? I'm not moving on this. Her response, a hissy fit. She can't believe that her child is asking to be paid for their work. So she resorts to the worst alternative.
Fine then. I'll just get my images off Google and sell those, since you're being unfairly rude to me.
I try to tell her that that is in fact illegal, but she won't listen.
She is too hurt by her unfair child to listen to the law.
To this day, she's not found a single baby shower to lug her stolen designs to and force upon the unlucky mother-to-be. She has completely given up her goal to sell those shirts, and our shirt press has a fine cake of dust on it now. She blames her failure on me and refuses to support any more of my art accomplishments because I was quote-unquote mean to her for not letting her steal my art. I don't feel bad at all. And our last story was posted by user The Inky Boy, titled, I did say not to pet him. Ah yes, another story of my baby boy Tyson and a crappy parent. Before we begin, here's some background information. Where I live is full of druggies, needles all in the cemetery, broken bongs at the river, all that kind of stuff. This means we can't take Tyson out in the lead anymore. That, and people who try to call the police about a vicious dog. But we do let him go outside onto the big front garden. He has space to run around and do his business, and there's plenty of people he's familiar with. However, if he doesn't know you and you're outside the fence, he'll become defensive, like really protective over the house. So I need to tell a lot of people who stop at the fence not to pet him. Now, here is the tale. It happened a couple of days ago, the 29th of December, and I let him out to do what he needed. We're outside for about 30 minutes when they walk up. There's a little girl. She looked about 12, and I'll just call her G. And her father, I think, and she's instantly up to the fence, calling over to him with kissy noises. Tyson gets to the fence but doesn't jump up. I take this time to tell G, please don't try to pet him. He's really protective and doesn't like people he doesn't know. Her father just says, my daughter can do what she wants. You probably stole that dog, didn't you? The next part happens as follows. I tell her father that we've had Tysons for about 4 years now. Father says, you're lying. Tyson jumps up on the fence to sniff the girl. Girl grabs Ty's snout, and Ty snaps. She cries, and father yells at me for having a rabid dog, and I say, I did say don't pet the dog. He kept going on about how he'll sue me for emotional damage and all that junk, and says he's taking Ty as compensation. Bad idea. I move towards Ty and pat the fence so he can jump up. I pet him to help him calm down and say to the father, he's protective of the house, and since you're yelling, he'll think of you're a threat and go for you if you try to open the gate. He started huffing and walking away, and the girl just said, "I like your dog," and followed after. I ended up seeing the father again earlier today, on the 1st of January, buying weed from one of the known dealers by my house. So, mate, I hope you get caught, try to run, and get pounced on by a trained dog. Have a swell day, everyone. Anyway, that's the end of this episode. Sorry about not posting everything. I was supposed to have a whole bunch of backlog of episodes ready, but I got lazy, as I constantly do. And yeah, now I'm in Ireland. I'm using a different computer setup right now. Shouldn't be too long till I get the, normal episodes back, but what did you guys think of this one? I don't even have music for this, I'm sorry. I've always been wondering if I should put music in the background or if I should just have my face, because it's like the same music that I play on everyone. I think that's a bit boring. Anyway, Ireland is really cold, but I've been meeting a whole bunch of my family now, and everyone seems really cool. It's fun out here. I don't know when I'm going to be back in Australia, but meh, I'm having fun with it. Anyway, tell me how you guys are going. I hope you all have a good day, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.